Hello guys, this is a beautiful dress for a baby, a 3 months old baby. This dress is going to be used for her dedication to church. She'll be going to church, so she'll be putting on this beautiful dress. So I would love you to watch and see how it's being done. It has a detachable bow in it, and the finishing of this dress is most important. Please, I would like you to watch to the end so that you can see how it goes with this. And in this tutorial, we are going to be needing some few items for this video. We will be using the satin. It's not up to a yard. It's just the remaining piece we used for the mom. It's not up to a yard and it's more than half a yard. And this also is the beautiful lace we'll be using for the upper bodice. It's a piece too from the mom's fabric we used, and this is a tool we'll be using for the lower part of the bodice of the dress, and it's 5 yards, but we will not be making use of all of the 5 yards because she's just 3 months. But I'll make use of the 5 yards and I'll use 3 layers out of it. We'll be using 3 layers. This is a ball dress. This technique, you can use it to make any ball dress for any age. And this is also the scissors we'll be using, the ruler, measurement. Just pay attention. This is more like a tutorial that can even be paid for, but this is free. Just subscribe and like the video for more videos. This will help me upload more videos so that it can help you in your sewing techniques. And so we are going to begin with the upper bodice. We are using the satin. It's going to be a freehand tutorial, so we'll be using the satin to cut first before we use it to cut the lace. So the normal way will first of all come down by 1 inch or more for you to get your baseline, like the line that you use to take other measurements. That's like the baseline you mark out. That's what I'm marking out. And then I'll use my ruler as usual to join the points. This step is more like the usual basic bodice block. That's why it will be lovely for you to see my full scale bodice block as well. And the measurements that we'll be needing is we'll be needing her shoulder measurement, which is 7, and it will be divided by 2, and that will give us 3.5. We'll also be needing her bodice front, the chest circumference, the waist circumference. As a child, the chest and the waist circumference is the same as a baby. And now I'm coming down by 0.5 inch. I didn't do my usual 3 and 8 because this is a child. I just measured the neckline, which is 2, and then I came down at the shoulder, which is by 0.5, which is 3.5. And now here I'm taking her bodice front, that is her shoulder to waist measurement, which is 7 inches. And I didn't mention it, the length of the dress is 17. But this is the half of the dress, like the upper bodice of the dress. And I'll just join the points. And afterwards, we'll take our armscye depth, and we'll be taking the armhole measurement. Normally, we know our armscye depth is usually the chest circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. For her, it's 4 points. It's going to be 4.6, but I wouldn't use all that because I'm not going to put any sleeve. It's going to be a sleeveless dress as you had seen before. And so I'm going to use 3.5 so that the armhole will not be too big for her and it will not be too small for her. So here I'm also taking my shoulder measurement which I had taken. I just want the lines to meet from the other side I took, and I'm marking it out so it can be visible enough for you to see. Afterwards, we'll be taking our chest measurements. Her chest measurement is 19 and her waist measurement is 19 as well. And so we're taking our chest measurement and then we divided it by 3 as usual. We divided it by 4 as usual, which is 4.7. That will also take at her bodice front. That's what will, her shoulder to waist measurement will take the 4.7. And I am joining the 2 points together. Afterwards, we are going to draw the armhole curve. Just do a little, coming out a little and curving it like so. Thereafter, we'll take our neck, our depth, the depth of the neckline, which is 2, and we'll join the points. And it's going to be a round neck, definitely. And that's it. I'm making the curve, and then we'll take our allowance. We'll keep our allowance, which at the side will be 1.1 inch. Then at the neckline, the armhole 0.5, and so on. Here is the 1 inch I'm keeping at the side, and I'll join the points and we'll do the same. That's allowance. We'll keep allowance at the armhole 0.5. So that is it. Please, if you have watched up to this point, do like and please subscribe to this channel. That's what encourages me to do more and better for you. This video, if you carefully watch it to the end, you wouldn't need to struggle to make a ball dress for any age. The only problem you will have is that you will have shoulder pain after making for like a child of, let me say 12, 7, because then the tool will increase and handling it is not really easy. But then the outcome will be great and beautiful. You will love it. Just use these steps that I'm showing you, both in and out. Wow, your ball dress will come out beautiful. So right now I'm cutting it out, and we'll cut out the back. We'll use this front we have cut to cut out the back. The only difference is we'll keep our zipper allowance, and then the armhole would be a little, it will come out a bit than the front. So that's the only difference. We'll use the same pattern we just made at the front to cut out the back. I'm making sure it's lying properly. You can pin if you know that your fabric would move. Pin so that it can be stable for you to be able to cut without, and having what you want without problems. as a tailor, as a designer, pins should be your friend as well. So we are cutting the back, making sure our zipper allowance is intact. The zipper allowance is 1 inch I kept. You can keep more than that if you wish. And again, the only alteration we'll have here at the back is the neckline. We'll make the neckline at the back higher than the neckline in front. So I didn't really go out again. I forgot, but it's no problem since she's really a baby. But if it's like 6 months or thereabout, it will be obvious, but not that obvious. But it will also be nice if you come out at the back for yours. But you'll see the outcome and the picture, like what you see, what you saw at the introduction of the video. That's what it will turn out to be. So if you've watched up to this point, I hope you've subscribed and you've liked the video. Thank you so much for doing that. So right now, I'll cut out the lining. I'm trying to cut out the lining. That's for the back. After cutting the lining for the back, I'll cut out the lining for the front, same way I did. And the first one I cut is the fabric support. You know, the fabric is lace, so the first satin is more like the fabric support. We'll sew it. We'll sew the lace on the satin before joining. I finished cutting the front part of the satin, as in for the lining, and so I'm laying the lace down to cut out my lace. This is the fabric we're meant to be using. I'm making sure it has some sequin in it, so I'm making sure the sequin is not at the armhole so that the child would not have problems with it. So don't have to choke the baby. So I'm trying to dodge it, but even if it enters, I'm going to pull it out myself before joining it to the fabric support. So we are cutting the front part of the So as I was saying, I'll remove the sequin. See, some of it entered the armhole. So now I'll be cutting the back part of the upper bodice. I'll lay down my fabric support I had already cut and use it to cut it out. So I'm done cutting the back bodice. So now we'll be doing the lower part of the dress. These are all we just finished doing. The upper part of the bodice, or we have cut. And so here is our tulle. It's 5 yards. I said it already. I folded it the way to be suitable for me to handle, that it can, the way it can contain the table I am using, the way the table can contain the tulle. I folded it, and now what we'll do is you fold it the as much as you can and your table can contain. Now what I'm going to do is I'll cut out the edge of it so I can have a straight edge, and I'll take what I have after deducting my upper bodice from what I have, the full length of the dress. And the full length of the dress is 17. My upper bodice is 7. So the lower part of the dress, the length will be 10. And so now what we'll be taking is 10.5, because we'll be joining it with the upper bodice. So we don't need to keep allowance at the for bending, because it's tool, of course, so we wouldn't bend it. We will not need to bend it. So now I'm taking my 10.5. I'll take 10.5 as I'm doing, and I'll go down, as in take another 10.5, another 10.5, because we're going to be using 3 layers of 5 yards of 10 in 5 yards. I don't know how to put it for you to understand, but I guess you do understand what I mean. Yeah, that's the second layer I'm taking. Like the dress, like the two will be 10. It's not a tier, but as in they are all equal, but we'll have like 3 layers of it, and it's in 5 yards, so that it will kick and be more like a ball dress, you know. So that's the third layer of our 10.5. We can't use all of it because she's a baby. She'll just lose. She's really a baby, like a 3 months old. She can just even lose inside. We don't even need hard nets for this ball dress to kick, because of the type of net I am using. If you really want to know more about the type of net to use, you can make a comment in the comment section, and I would let you know what kind of nets you will be needing for a ball dress. When you use that, you don't even need a hard net. It will kick, and if you follow the steps at which I will do right now for the sewing steps, the finishing method and all, your ball dress will kick both in front and at the back. Because what makes it not to kick at the back is the way maybe you finish your ball dress. But if you want to have a real ball dress all round, like it's kicking both at the front and at the back, just watch to the end. And please like this video and subscribe. And afterwards, right now, we're going to gather each step. I use needle and thread, because when I use the machine, since I don't have the footer that does the gathers, when I use the machine to do my straight stitch, loose stitch to dry, normally have issues. It may tighten at the middle, or it may cut while I'm sewing, because sometimes you make a ball dress which you are using like 15 yards. By the time you sew and it cuts at the middle, or it's difficult to drag and gather, you have to start all over again. But when you use this needle and thread, it's easy. You just, though it takes your time, but you would not encounter that stress of it not gathering all through. So just when you want to make a ball dress, just relax and know that it's going to take you some time, but you know you are going to get there finally. So my own part, I will recommend you use your needle and thread. It's easy for you to move even when you're sewing. You can easily move it here and there. So I'll gather all three of them, as you can see, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go to the sewing machine and we'll join all that we have done. So here is number one, I've gathered. So I will do the other part, but you make sure you don't give it so much space so that you have beautiful gathers. So here's number one. I'll do others and we'll go to the machine. So right now we're joining our fabric supports and the lace, making it one piece. That's what we're going to do for the back and the front. Here is the front. I'm trying to make it one piece before we would use the satin, the lining to turn it. You are sewing every part of it so that you are trying to put every part of it in place. You are making it one piece. And so if you can use pin, if you know that you cannot control it with your hand, the best thing to do is to use your pins. Take your time, pin it in place before sewing. Unless you're used to doing it anyways, then you can do as well. But there are some laces that will not even you can see me trying to make sure that it's equal. But if I had taken my time to pin and do the necessary, I wouldn't have to do all that. I know this video is kind of lengthy, but you will not have regrets, any regret watching it. So I did same for the back and I'm trimming off. Now I've done all three parts with the upper bodice. I'm going to be joining my lining. I'll use the lining at the front. I'll turn the neck, the armhole. Please listen carefully. This is how we begin our finishing. So we start here to join. We use the lining to turn the neck. We use the lining to also turn the armhole. will seal every part of the dress. So the inner part of the dress will be clear of any roughness. In and out will be like a dress. Not the back of the dress will also look like the front of the dress. So I'll do this. I'll try to do the armhole, or I'll also do same to the back. And while doing this, I'll make sure the shoulder, I'll make sure I check to really note what the shoulder is, because same measurement I took at the shoulder in front, that's the same measurement you take at the shoulder at the back. You wouldn't want to make it even a teeny tiny bigger than the other. That's why you have to make sure you check over and over, because of the way the finishing would go. So the same way I'm doing the front. The same way I've turned the neckline at the armhole and the armhole. I'll also do to the back. But I'll have to show you the back because of the zipper allowance. You'll also be conscious of that part as well, so that when you're joining, everywhere that is meant to meet each other will meet. One part of the zip, like maybe the left shoulder of the zip, the left side of the zip will not be higher or lower than. So the best to do is always take measurement and make sure the same 0.5 inches you are using on the other side is the same 0.5 inches you're using on the other side, so that they will all meet. And now I'm doing myself good to notch every curve area so that it can lay flat, it can relax, you understand. If you sew a curve and don't do this, it will be hanging, it will not look nice. So I'm making sure to notch every curve part of the dress. After doing this, I'll have to use my iron to press it down, and we'll do the back the way I just finished explaining to you. So now I'm showing you, like, that's my zipper allowance, 1 inch allowance, and then we'll go at that. We wouldn't sew from the zipper allowance. We would sew away from the zipper allowance after, as in, and I'm marking it out 0.5, so that I will make sure I sew at 0.5. You can see that I'm not starting from where I am supposed to. I am leaving out 1 inch because that's where the zipper would be, so that I can use my lining to turn the zipper. So I'm making sure I'm starting away from my zipper allowance, and I'm turning the neckline with my satin. That is my lining, whatever you want to use as your lining. Then I'll do the armhole and checking, making sure it's the same shoulder measurement, as in the same space between my shoulder and my neckline and my armhole in front. When I was doing the front bodice is the same I'm taking at the back. So I'll do the same to the other part of my back, and then we'll continue. So now I'm done turning the back, and I'm making sure to notch every curved part of the back. Now I'm turning it inside out so that we can join it to the front. You do the same thing to the other part of the back, and then you iron it. You can see the zipper side is not yet joined to the other part of the back. So now here is my front, and this is where we are trying to turn it so that you will not see any joining, you will not see the rough edges at the shoulder. So I placed it at the front, the back to the front, right side facing right side. And then I'll put my hand inside. You know, it's very tiny since it's for a baby. So I'm just struggling to push the back into the front, making sure the right side of the back is facing the right side of the front. And then you push it out, bring it out, the shoulder inside out, pushing the back bodice into the front bodice, making sure it lies equally. There should not be any excess. If not, there will be a squeeze at the shoulder. That's the reason why I was making sure my shoulder in front is the same as the shoulder, the space between my armhole and my neckline is the same, both at the front bodies and at the back bodies. When I was trying to turn my neckline and my armhole. So now I'll just sew up 0.5, which is the allowance I kept. I'm still making sure it's lying flat, and then making sure it's 0.5 exactly. I'm sewing, and then I'll now sew. After sewing, before trimming off your excess, you would have to check inside out before you trim the excess. First check so that if there's any squeeze, you will adjust it. You will loosen and adjust it so you can see how nice it looks. And there is no squeeze. And so I'll continue with the other one. So the same way I did the other one is the same way I'll do the other shoulder. So take your time and look at this one in case you didn't really see the other one. Take your time and look at it. You can see right side facing right side, and you put it into it, turning it. If it was a big baby, you wouldn't need to struggle that hard, or else you really want the neckline wide. But this one, since it's a little baby, whether it's wide or not, that space is small, so you have to struggle with it that way. And now I'm trying to turn it, making sure my right side is facing the right side of the back is facing the right side of the front. It doesn't really take time to do this, but because I'm explaining, that's why. Just try it out. And please let me know how it went with you. And for any question, you can put it down on the comment section. So now, after checking and checking and making sure, we will now have to sew. But you will love the dress afterwards. After much, much stress, you'll smile. What you just need is patience, especially when you're making a ball dress. You need patience to do this. When it comes to joining the lower part of it, that's the toe part of it, my dear, you need that patience a lot. So I'm checking before trimming off. So you can see what the neckline and the shoulder looks like now. We'll continue with the down part of our dress. We'll first join the sides of the dress. We kept 1 inch allowance, and that's what we're going to sew in. We're going to sew in 1 inch allowance, but you would see how we join it. We'll open it up, lining to lining, and fabric to fabric. You can see. Make sure the two armhole meet. That's the back bodice and that of the front bodice. You can even pin it down to make sure you can see it right side to right side. Yeah, let there meet. You pin it up before sewing. If you know you can't handle it, you pin it down and then you sew 1 inch. Of course, I'm pushing all the rough edges towards the lining. When you're joining that way, you push out the rough edges towards the lining so that it can lie. The weight of those rough edges can allow the lining, can help the lining lie properly, as in lay down. The lining is supposed to be down, not seen. So those rough edges help it. You take your time, every bit of it counts. And then you join your 1 inch or whatever you kept as the allowance is what you're going to join. What you're going to sew, sorry. Sew down to the lining of it, and you do same to the other part of your dress. always remember to remove the pins, especially for these little ones, before the baby will start screaming for you when she puts on the dress. So that's the armhole. You can see it clean and nice. Both the front and the back, everything is inside. We are going to do the other part the way we did this other part. So if you didn't get the other part, you can look at the way we did this one and then you do it that way. So here's the upper part of our baby's dress. The part A of the sewing is over, and now we'll go to part B of the sewing. Here's what it looks like. The lining and the fabric are not attached together, the waistline yet. That's why I didn't join the neckline, at the zipper allowance. I kept that space so that we can use the lining to turn it. So now we're going to join the lower part of our dress. So now we'll have to separate the lining from the fabric. That's what I've just done. The lining is pushed away from the fabric, and the first step is to place our tulle nets, making sure the 3 layers are on the same place, like it's kept at the same one, is no longer than one. You try as much as you can to make sure that they are equal there. That's the first one. The second one, we'll place the third one because there are 3 layers, and then we'll pin it up because it needs a lot of arrangement, and or you can take your time to pin before sewing. If you can also be arranging while sewing. Even if you pin it up, you still need to make some arrangements, making sure that your gathers are evenly distributed. You wouldn't want one side to be fuller than the other, so you just want to have to take your time. After arranging the first layer, you arrange the second layer. Even if you are not to pin every side of it, make sure to pin the other side, like one side of the zip and the other side of the zip, and you will have to make sure there are no gathers on your zipper allowance. Like you will have to move gathers, the tool, as in the gathered tool. The tool will be there, but it will not be gathered where your zip will pass through. So I'm trying to gather the tool as fast as I can, and then we will sew. After gathering, we will now have to join step by step. You don't have to rush this. You just have to be patient to make this. So you see me dragging it from the other side, arranging it better. If you're to use your machine and it's not foot and you don't have the footer for to gather it. Sometimes after when you're dragging it can cut and it's frustrating. So when I use needle and thread, I know that it's easier that way because you can easily move forward, move backward, and do whatever you want to do and arrange the way you would love to. So you can see I've tried to move the gathers as a 1 inch, as in make that side straight. It's not gathered. That 1 inch for my zipper, the part my zip is going to leave. I've moved it and I'm going to sew. Remember that as you sew, you keep arranging, checking and making sure that you don't have excess gathers on one side. So if you are doing this for the first time, just go to the floor, spread it out, and take your time to arrange it, pin it up, and all. Then you sew. You can even take your time to do it one after the other, but it's just that it will take your time. But if you pin it up, lay down or lay it on the table, take your time, pin it up, go to your sewing machine, sew it before placing your fabric support, because down here we're going to have the satin as the fabric support as well before using our lining. So I like to do the net thing, as in the tulle thing, before doing the satin, the fabric support. So you can see me arranging and sewing, arranging and sewing. You cannot just sew straight unless you have pinned it and made sure everything is evenly distributed. This is like the most stressful part of the ball dress. After this part, even the zipper part, but the way I'm going to show you how to do the zip, to fix the zip, it will be easy. If you have done this before and you are finding it difficult, this will be easy for you if you follow the steps I'm going to use while fixing the zip. It will be easy, but this part is stressful, my dear. If you are doing for a bigger child, you'll find out that if you sleep and wake up, don't wonder why your shoulder is paining you. Just know that it's the ball dress you made that caused it. So please like, subscribe to this channel, and if you have watched up to here, please do help me subscribe and like the video, and do well to watch to the end so that you would get what I'm talking about, and try to watch every step of it so that you won't get confused. are finally getting to the end of the other part of the waistline. And so, wow, finally we have arrived. So after here, we are going to gather our lining. I made it like 1 inch shorter because I'm going to bend it, and it's 1 inch shorter than my tulle. It can be 1.5 inch shorter. If you want, you can make it, but if it's too short, it's not always that nice. So you can see it's not gathered at my zipper allowance, so that I can easily, the zip can easily be fixed easily. So here is our partly finished ball dress. Here it is, and now we'll be sewing our fabric support. So here we are. This is our fabric support, and I'm going to pin it down because I'm going to sew the other way around so that I can see where I have sewn before, so that I can follow that same seam I made on the toe. So I have to pin it down to hold it down so that I can sew the other way around. So I'm going to pin it towards my toe where I can see the pins. I'm trying to arrange it. I'll pin it up and then sew. So here I am trying to arrange and pin, making sure it's also the gathers is also evenly distributed. As I said, you don't want to have one side fuller than the other to make it look funny. And then I'm done pinning up, and now sew it down with a machine, of course. So remember, my pins are facing the toe, and that's where I'm sewing. The way you have to pin it, like, since I don't even know how to tell you, but you pin it like the needle should be across, you should sew across it, and you wouldn't have problems. Like, as I'm sewing, I may not remove my pins as I'm sewing, but after sewing I'll remove the pins. But you have to pin it so that you pin it like you're pinning it, should I say, horizontally, while the machine is working towards it horizontally, like a cross. You are pinning it and the machine needle is walking across it. Yeah, I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's easier that way. If you remove it, sometimes you have not sewn that spot, it moves. So I just sew with the pins on it like that. And as you sew, you keep checking the back, you lift it and check and arrange. See me checking it, you can see check, arrange, check, arrange. So now, after joining the satin, we are going to join the lining part to the lower part of the lining to the upper bodice of the lining. So that is what I'm doing now. I made gathers on it just as we did the other part. I'll have to take my time to mark out the 1-inch allowance for the zip, and also make sure that I am going down. I'm sewing at 0.5 inches. So basically that's what I'm doing right now. So after we finish doing this, we're going to start fixing the zipper. So as we did the other time, we'll continue arranging it, sewing. As you arrange, you keep sewing, and that's it. So now I'm done sewing the lining, and this is what it looks like. That's how the back of the dress will look like. I'll now have to join, as in sew the zipper allowance. First up, I would pin up that point, the neckline, pin up the midpoint. That's where we have the joining. As as well, so that I'll make sure that they'll meet when I finally fix my zipper allowance. Please watch this part carefully and do like this video and subscribe if you've not already. So I'm going to pin that down, and then the next step would be to measure out where I want my zipper to end, and then so yeah, I'm pushing out. You can see me, the lining is separated from the main dress itself, so I'll measure out like 3 inches. You can do whatever you feel is okay by you, this so the baby can enter in with ease, into the dress with ease. I would have to mark it out with a chalk, and before doing this, you have to make sure you are holding all 3 linings, three tools. This is this fabric support, the satin, then we'll have like 6 parts, like the other part. When it turns around, it's 3 now. When you are joining it together, the other part of the dress and the other part, it's like you have to just count like 6 to join together. So I'm counting and making sure that I'm not leaving anyone behind. That's the main essence of me counting. That's why I'm actually doing the count. So after holding all 6 together with the fabric support, that's the satin, I'll make sure I sew at 1 inch where I kept my zipper allowance. I'll sew at 1 inch, and the point I came down by 3 inches, I'll just like reinforce. I'm not sewing down, I'll just sew and reinforce. Afterwards, we will now have to separate them. So this is what I'm talking about now. I'll reinforce, and then I would have to remove my pins. Down the nets, all 6. Here I'll sew. I'll push out the fabric support. This is to enable your ball dress kick both at the back. The same way it's kicking at the front, it will kick at the back as well. If you should hold the satin together with the net, the weight of the satin will pull the net inwards, and it will not have a nice fit at the back. So watch this part carefully. And if you have watched up to this part, I really don't know what you're waiting for. Just subscribe to this channel and like. Thank you so much for those who have subscribed already. I am so grateful. And for those who haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. So I'll have to sew down, and then I'll also sew the satin down as well separately. So right now I'm trying to reduce the excess of the tulle so that it wouldn't be bulky at that point where I'm trying to tuck it in. I'll just have to tuck it in and then sew. See, this is what I mean. I'll push it in, then hold my satin, and I'll sew from the point I sewed 1 inch. I'll just come down. The 1 inch I reinforced when I held both the satin and the lining together. At that point, that's why I'll start sewing down. I know the video is kind of lengthy, but don't be tired. Just keep watching to the end, and I hope you are learning something from this. Please, if you've learned something from this, like and share, like and subscribe to this video. Thank you so much. You can also share it with others. So this is my zipper. I'm placing it from that point. You can see from that point where we sewed. I'll place it from that point, and then remembering that, taking note that it's 1 inch. My zipper allowance is 1 inch. I'll use my pin and hold it from there so that it will be still, and I'll start sewing at that angle. I'll start sewing from there up to the neckline, making sure and taking note of my 1 inch zipper allowance. So I'm almost done fixing my zipper on one side of the dress. I'm trying to fix the zip on the other side, trying to make sure it aligns, the waistline aligns. I'll pin that waistline in place, and then the neckline, and then we'll begin sewing. Where we have the joining between the bodice and the bodice, the upper bodice and the lower bodice, you see my pin there. That's because I want that part of my dress to meet. I don't want one part of the waist to be higher or lower than the other part. So this is what you do to get it accurately. You can pin it up. If you wish, you just sew only that part of it, turn it, check if it meets. If they are at the same point, you continue. If not, you loosen it. Try making sure that they both meet before you continue. You join the rest, the other part of the zipper. And so now this is what I was trying to tell you about, for these two to meet. Yeah, and it did meet. So now we'll continue with our sewing. This is what it looks like after fixing our zip, and I don't really have issues at the two parts. So I'll continue with the video. So now I'll be using the lining to turn the zipper, the neckline. And so before we begin with that, we are going to do what we did before fixing the zip at the toe, at the lower part of the dress. That's the main dress. So now we'll come down again at the lining. You know, we only were treating the main fabric. We moved the lining aside. So now what we'll do is to put the lining together, making sure they are together, and then pin it up. Take your measurement and just sew it straight up. Done with the lining, sewing that part of the lining. Now the down part of the lining. Now I'm going to, you can see what we are doing. You turn it inside out. So at that point, the neckline, where we have that neckline across the zip, and then sew down. And you're going to make sure that it's at 0.5, the allowance you kept, so that you also do same on the other side, and they'll both meet. Like one part of the left side of the zipper will not be higher than the right side of it. They'll all be equal. So after sewing that part, you just sew it straight. I'm cutting out the zipper, and you just sew straight down. And then you have to stop at where the zipper began, from the lower part of the dress. You just keep making sure, checking, and then sewing. other side. I'm cutting out the thread and I'll turn it inside out for you to see what it looks like in the as an outside of the dress. All the rough edges are inside, and this is what it looks like. So now we're going to do the other parts of the dress, as in the other part of the lining. We are going to use it to turn the other side of the zipper. So begin with the neckline. I'm going to sew just as I did for the other one, 0.5 inch, and I'll sew down. After doing that, I'll go down the way I did on the other part, but this time around it's easier to manipulate because the seam that ran through the zipper, that is holding the zipper, is showing. You can see it running down there. I don't know if you can see. So you just sew close to it, but not so close, so that your zipper can move up and down. If you sew it too close, the zipper may hook and it will be difficult to move around. After doing this, you reinforce just as we did, and I'll turn it inside out and show you what it looks like. We are done with the dress already. The remaining part of the dress is just to bend the lining and also the satin, as in the support fabric we used at the lower part of the dress. That is the lower part of the dress where the tulle is. So now I'm turning it inside out. This is the finished look of the dress. This is what it looks like. This is what the outer part of the dress looks like. And so I'll be putting like a trimming at the waistline in front of the dress, the front part of the dress, and then a detachable bow at the back of the dress. Thanks for sticking to the end. And this is what the back looks like. And I'd love to see you in my next video. Thank you, and please try it out and tell me how maybe the challenges you faced and how it turned out. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching to the end. Bye.